Hello, welcome to Createful Art. Today I would love to show you how to paint this very simple landscape inspired by mid-century styled art. I look forward to painting and relaxing with you today. Before we begin, if you are enjoying my tutorials, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you're notified whenever I make a new video, and it also helps me make more videos like this one. Let's begin. To make this painting, we're going to be using this lovely autumn color palette. All you need are 5 basic colors. You want your primary colors yellow, magenta, and cyan blue. And then you're going to need black and a white. These colors make up all of the colors that you see on this palette. So now I'm going to show you how to quickly mix these colors, starting with the dark blue. All you need to do to mix this color is grab your primary blue and mix it with your black. Keep adding black until your color is dark enough. Members, this is a great time to get out the handout that you get when you're a Createful Art member that has the color palette on it so you can match these colors. And if you haven't signed up to become a Createful Art member yet, you get bonus content like that, and you also get weekly art lessons and the reference photos to help you paint along. There's a link here to where you can sign up on Patreon, and then there's a link in the description to this specific handout. The next color we're going to mix is this lovely earthy green. To mix that color, you're going to want to add yellow with your blue, and mixing these will make a bright green. To dull the color down, I'm going to add some black to it, and it'll also darken the green. To make the color more earthy, I add just a little bit of my magenta in there. I adjust those colors until they match what I am looking for. The next beautiful green color you mix with your yellow and your blue again. This time you're going to add white to lighten and dull the color. Also add some magenta to dull that color down and make it more earthy. Gray the color down with just a little bit of black. Adjust the amount of those colors until you've reached the right color. And they don't have to be a perfect match to get a great look in this painting. The next color is a combination of mostly white, a little blue, and a little bit of black, and a very small amount of magenta. Adjust those colors until you reach the color you are matching. The next color is this beautiful mauve color. This is a mix of the magenta, the white, some yellow to warm that color up, a little black to dull the color. Adjust those colors until you're really close to the right color. And then to make it just a little bit more purple, add a tiny bit of blue, and that will get you there. The next soft peach color starts with yellow. Add magenta, white to lighten the color, and adjust those colors until they are close to the peach color. This bright orange color is made with yellow and magenta, and just adjust those two colors until they match the bright orange. This last copper-like color is made with magenta and yellow as well, but this time we're going to add black to darken that color and dull it down. Adjust those colors until you have reached the color that you would like. If you find that your color isn't dull enough, just add a little tiny bit of blue to it. I like to mix up plenty of these colors, and then I have them in my Stay Wet palette, so they'll stay wet for the entire month, and then I'll use these colors in all the tutorials for the month. All the products that I'm using in this tutorial are listed and linked below in the description. We are all set, so let's relax and start painting. The first thing we're going to do is paint the sky, and I'm using my inch brush and this light cream color, and you just fill in the top portion of your canvas to about the halfway mark. In this step we're going to paint the sun, so you need a round object the size that I wanted the sun. I'm going to place it in the sky, and not in the middle, but over to the right, and then I traced around that object with my watercolor pencil. So now I have my round brush. It's about a size 6 or an 8 depending on your set, and then I am filling in that circle with white. In this step we're going to sketch the composition with our watercolor pencil. I'm going to start by going up just a little bit above the halfway mark, and then I'm going to mark where that mountain is going to start over there on the side. And then just about a ½ an inch or a little bit more than a ½ an inch, I'm going to go above that with my next mountain. The mountain above it is going to have a high peak, so I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to make sure that I have a nice valley right underneath the sun, so a curved line right underneath there. Createful Art members, this is a great time to get out your reference photo to help you sketch this before we move on to the next step. And you can have the reference photos for my paintings when you become a Createful Art member. This is also a great time to get creative, so you can make your mountains however you wish between the valley and that high peak, so you can put in as many bumps and ridges that you want. And because I'm using a watercolor pencil, I can always make any changes that I want and those lines will disappear. I can change where the mountain peaks up, I can create valleys wherever I want, I can move mountains over. This is the time to do it though when you're making the composition. I wanted to show you this part even though I'm not going to show you every little sketch mark that I make because it'll be much easier to just paint along with me in the next steps. But I want you to see this process because this is what many artists go through. You're putting down marks that are temporary and trying to get the composition to look the way that you would prefer it to look. And so it's important to be able to take what's in your mind or what you see and be able to move things around before you start adding the paint and layering the paint in the next steps. So in this step, we're going to paint the river with the light blue, and I have my ½ inch flat brush. And what makes this painting super simple is now that we have the composition down, we're just filling in these shapes with a solid color. Now we're going to paint the mountains, and it's super simple. All we are is going to fill each shape with solid colors. I know where I want the copper color, so that's what I'm going to start with first. The copper color is going to be in these hills in the center. So there's a small piece of land behind these two copper hills. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my copper color with the hill behind it, which is going to be orange. So I'm mixing my orange and my copper together to get an in-between color. And just as I did with the copper colors, I just fill in that shape with that color. Feel free to go at your own pace, and then we'll go on to the next mountain behind it. And the mountain behind it is going to be the solid orange color. And I find that it's a little close to the color of the in-between orange, so I'm going to add some white to it to lighten it so that there's a bigger difference between that orange and the orange in front of it. And then I just fill in that shape with that color. So go at your own pace, put on some music, your favorite music if you'd like, and just fill in this mountain, and we'll go on to the next one after this. So now it's time to paint the hill that's on this left side, and I'm filling it in with that bluish green color. This type of painting looks a lot better with a little bit more of a perfectionist mindset. And what I mean by that is that those lines need to stay crisp, otherwise they're going to look messy. So I take my time and I fill it in, and then if the color's not solid, then I'll just go over it again with another layer. So the next mountain or hill is in the foreground. It's in front of the river, and it's going to be filled with this hunter's green just at the top area. And then as we get lower, I mix the green and the blue to get a darker color, and you can also add in some of that turquoise color if you wish. So it's just going to make this color darker, and that's what I want to do. If any of your other mountain colors are dry, you can also start adding another layer on them to make them more of a solid color for the ones that aren't very solid. And then that layer can dry while you finish up this other section. And then once that section is done, then you can let it dry, and you can add layers on the other sections that have dried. And that just helps you save time if you want to get this painting done faster. So go ahead and add more layers to any of your sections that you need to so that it's more of a solid color, and then we'll go on to the next area and paint that in. And before we do that, I want to just show you the difference. Look at how clean this looks now. This is what we're looking for, and I may add more layers and I may not. So this bottom area is going to have the darkest color, so it's that dark blue. And I'm going to have trees in this section, so I'm moving my brush to an angle. It's a sideways angle, and then I just push up to get some pokes that look like trees in the distance. So see how I use my brush to just move up a little bit in some areas, and that's the trees. And I'm moving that brush up into the green to make the trees. So I don't want any of the white of the canvas showing. And I'm just following that section. So now it's time to put in the final details and change things to your personal preferences. So you may have noticed that that sun is not filled in anymore. And what I wanted to do was make my sun a little bit smaller. And this is just a personal preference. This isn't something that you need to do. Any of the colors that are on your painting, you can change to a color that you prefer. I'm also going to work on my sections to be a little bit more solid in color. So I'm going to add another layer over dried layers. If I don't like something about the composition, it's really easy to change. All I need to do is paint over it. Any spots that I feel like my lines aren't very crisp, I'm going to go and work on those and crisp up those lines so that they look nice and neat. I can also change anything that I want to change about the style. So maybe I want to keep some texture or add some texture in there. I don't have to keep the shapes a solid color if my preference is to not keep them a solid color. You can also add anything you want to the painting, like the clouds that I added to my sky. This is a great time to explore what you like and to discover your own style and then be creative. And then once you're done, then you sign your work. I'm so proud of you for completing this painting with me today. I hope that you learned a lot from this lesson. I always look forward to teaching you more. You can sign up for weekly art lessons, reference photos, bonus content, and full tutorials when you become a Createful Art member on Patreon. You can continue watching more tutorials if you like. I'm so happy we got to relax and paint together today. As always, take care and be good to yourself.